the other spectrum to this whole thing is the Team Penske fans and Joey Logano fans, because of course they're super thrilled because they're in the race on Sunday. They were just pretty much teetering on the edge, right? In the last few laps of stage three, Logano had a really slender margin over Tyler Reddick, who, to be quite honest, had a very eventful race. I mean, he ran into his own team owner, I think, in stage two. And honestly, I was one of those people who counted him out after that contact. But, Billy Scott, Tyler Reddick, and that whole pit crew, they were just calm and methodical. They're like, hey, hang in there. We're going to fix this toe link or whatever was broken in the car. They got the car back to an acceptable condition. They changed four tires. They restarted like 26. And Logano was doing what he had to do, running in the top five, top 10. And even as he was shedding points away, um, to me, I felt like he had enough of a margin. But then here comes Tyler Reddick just charging his way through the field at a track that I think people are like, there's going to be no passing. You're going to have to dive bomb. And he didn't dive bomb. I mean, he was good. Um, just did his homework, and lo and behold, Reddick makes his way into the playoffs. We thought Logano was out, Bowman was in, all that. Then this whole thing happened, and now Logano went from being out to back in. And I'll admit, I did like his tweet. That was pretty
That
funny.
was pretty good.
I think that was from, oh goodness gracious, that movie from 2009. Oh, was it Bachelor, the like Bachelor Party thing? Oh goodness.
Something like that. I literally remember seeing the meme and I was like, I have not seen this movie yet, but it's referenced all the time. I cannot
Yeah.
remember. I know Ed Helms is in it. That's it. I feel
Yeah.
so uncultured at the moment.
M- Me too, I feel bad. This is every time you're on the show, I have like some pop culture lapses. So I'm gonna have to remember this. Hangover. Yes.
Hangover, there we go. Oh my, I can't believe I blanked on that one. But no, the reference to Hangover there, that was pretty good. And to see Joey handling it in that way is great. And I think that's a testament to even when you're out of it, like, and like on point, you're not going to make it. And where Joey was on the track compared to who he needed to pass, which I believe was either SVG or AJ Allmendinger, he wasn't going to make it in, but you never stop digging. And same thing with Tyler Reddick. I knew as soon as he got to the back bumper of Denny Hamlin, I was like, okay, Denny's going to help him out. Maybe just a little bit, make it a little easier for him to pass. Cause with that, it meant that he was +1 above Joey Logano. And from there, he was able to pick off some more cars. So yeah, for Joey though, magic seems to happen for him in even numbered years. Whether it's he makes it into the championship four with the even numbered stat, or he wins a championship in even numbered years, hence 2018, 2022. So I mean, understandably, some people are like, well, Joey Logano just got in based off of a technicality and whatever. Like, sure, fine, but this is how the system is. That's how disqualifications work. That's how these playoffs work when a disqualification happens. So Joey did everything he could to get himself in a points position to where he'd be the next in line if something crazy were to happen, which it did. And now the 22 team is fighting for a championship yet again, or is continuing that fight. And these tracks coming up for Joey Logano and that team are really good. For Penske as a whole, these are really great tracks. So I wouldn't be shocked if Joey made it this year into the championship four, considering how good he is at Vegas, Homestead, even Martinsville in some way, shape, or form. But he definitely got lucky. But he also did the work to get himself there during the playoffs. You can have an awful regular season or a so regular season, but all you got to do is kick up the heat in the playoffs and you're good to go. So,
I mean, Richard Petty once said it to competitors, I'd rather be lucky than good.
mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the case with Joey Logano. I mean, that's kind of his MO when it comes to the postseason, especially in those even years, because I would argue that in the odd years, like 2015, I would have actually pegged him as the guy to win the championship. And then a guy
Yeah.
named Matt Kenseth came along and wanted to teach him a lesson, a little etiquette lesson, I would say.
Yes.
Uh, so then I think that's when this whole even thing came about. I mean, honestly, I think he's the last person I want to see make the round of eight, because it's not because of the trend. Any year, I don't want to see this guy make it if I'm a competitor, because I know he grinds out finishes, he grinds out victories. He did this 2 years ago when he won at Las Vegas, and he parlayed
Mm-hmm.
that as his way to go and win at Phoenix and the championship. So I would not count out Joey Logano at all. Yes, he's been lucky. You could argue, though, honestly, he should have had a few more wins this year. We're not going to talk about Richmond because I'm sure you talked about it to death on ATYL.
Oh god,
We
yeah.
have we have as well on TPF Live. But he made a good point before this whole thing came about, and I was just thinking, man, that just goes to show folks that the regular season does matter because circumstances like that could have actually taken him out altogether. But thankfully, we don't have to think about that. He's in, and you Ford fans can be happy because at least what a quarter of the field has Fords. So you don't have to
Mhm.
whine about Chevrolets and Toyotas. You blue ovalists have some folks that you can cheer for.
And
So
something else with Penske too is they're undefeated with championships in the Gen 7 era for the Cup Series.
mm,
So, if you like trends and you want to see them continue trends, I mean, it all is shaping up to, regardless of I think regular season performance, a Joey Logano or a Penske championship in some way, shape, or form. If the trends continue, but we also know that at some point trends die, and they don't. So we'll see what happens. But I think this is a really interesting round of eight. I think Alan Cavana made a tweet about this, and he said this is probably one of the most competitive round of eights that we've seen in quite some time with this elimination style playoffs. And I would kind of have to agree, but I also think too with this car, it's made the competition so even where it's so hard to tell people apart. But what's been fun is you really don't know who's going to win the championship regardless of season until you get to Phoenix. And I think with that, there's positives of it's a wild card until the end. And there's also maybe some negatives to that and saying, man, Kyle Larson's been strong all season long. He has a crazy amount of wins this year. And he's had a decent season, but if they don't have the car at Phoenix, he's not going to win the championship. And that's crazy to think about. So, I mean, you look forward to this round of eight, and I'm excited about it. I think the Fords have a good shot considering these are all tracks that are in their wheelhouse. And we'll see from there who makes it to Phoenix.
Yeah, I have to say the Ford Performance Camp has done their homework because the
Hmm.
beginning of the season, let's be honest, they were kind of, a little mediocre, but then they found the pace and race trim. I know that they found some horsepower, I would say in the springtime around Darlington race weekend, and it showed even at Kansas when Buescher almost won and lost by like one thousandth of a second against Kyle Larson at Kansas. So the Ford camp cannot be dismissed at all just because you don't have the numbers against on your side in terms of the number of drivers in from the Ford camp,
Hmm.
the trends, like you said, this next gen era, they have been hauling it. They have been showing that they can get the championships into their campus in Mooresville, and it just wouldn't shock me. And that's the thing and the thing you pointed out, Taylor, is because someone like Kyle Larson, who honestly is having a sparkling season, 6 wins, and he's done one less start than everybody else, this is a one race wins it all kind of format still. So just because you did a great job in the first, 33 races of the season, and he'll probably have a good round of eight, there's a good chance he's not going to win the championship because Phoenix hasn't exactly been a great track for Hendrick. Um, at least in the next gen era. I mean, I can't point out to a performance. I know William Byron won, but that was kind of like a late race jumble in 2023 in the spring. But let's be honest, they just really haven't had the pace to kind of keep up with the Fords or Toyotas. So, um, if you're the Chevrolet and Hendrick camp, you're probably thinking, man, we hope we did our sim work. We have done some data analysis to figure out how to get the best out of these cars because it's going to be a dogfight going down the stretch.
Yeah.
That's where the round of eight's going to be the fun times, and I think Phoenix could be the hard times for the Chevrolet camp. But we'll see. I'm not smart enough to make that decision or determination, but we'll keep our eyes on that for sure.